Hi, folks. It's the East Coast Economic Update for January the 8th, 2010. This is going to be the third time I'm trying to do this. Apparently, I keep getting an error message. I guess YouTube doesn't like what I have to say. Let's see if I can get this done. Okay, so I'm going to repeat myself for the third time. There are three. I wanted to, I could discuss the fact that the Labor Department couldn't squeeze out of their birth-death model um, a positive employment number to the chagrin of Wall Street and its need to jack the prices up so the big boys can slowly eke out of the market while the rest of the little guys get crushed. But I do have three items I want to talk about that seem disconnected or unconnected, but yet I think that they are connected, and I'll get to that point at the end. The first is an article from NASA pointing out that uh, the last 2 years we've been in an 11-year cycle of solar minimums, and there have been almost no sunspots. There have been the fewest sunspots probably recorded since 1913, I believe the article states, which is very interesting because in the last 2 years we've progressively gotten cooler, and in this year, because we've had 2 consecutive years of no real solar activity heating the planet, now we have, as far away as China, deep cold freezes in the southern parts of China, England covered in snow, and Florida basically on the verge of losing its strawberry and citrus fruit crops, which is, you know, will only hit a greater blow to a state that's already overwhelmed. So, I don't like getting into the climate debate because I think it's highly politicized, but I honestly believe, and it proves itself out in empirical observation, that the sun really, causes 80% of the heating or cooling of this planet. And don't get me wrong, I think that we poison our water and, are killing our planet by using, immense amounts of fossil fuels and other poisons and stuff so we can have, computers and so forth and so on. You can do your own research. But all the SUVs in the United States and the world are not going to raise the world temperature to the significance that seems to coincide um, with the increases and decreases of the planet's temperature. That, we could also go into the fact that in the last 10 years, Mars, Neptune, and Venus have also melted their ice caps, and I don't believe that SUVs can reach that far beyond the planet, our planet. Well, if it is, then I think Al Gore has really been very short-sighted in his inconvenient truth. Anyway, so that's one. Number two, and I'm going to precursor this by saying this could be nothing. And two senators, Chris Dodd and this other fellow, I'm sorry, his name escapes me, from North Dakota, have decided not to be reelected. Now this could be nothing, but it's something to watch. Um, Dodd is Dodd, but what intrigues me is the fellow from North Dakota. He was very popular in his state and pretty much was a shoo-in to be reelected. It seems, though he's keeping his mouth shut and being the true politician that he is, I think from what he doesn't say and the sound of his voice that he's having a real existential angst. I think that the problem is that he may be having a moral issue, and not because of bipartisanship. Um, if others, like I said, this could be nothing, but if others start to decide at the end of their terms not to go for re-election, especially our boy Barney Frank, which would send up a huge alarm in my life, that would indicate to me that we're in deeper kimchi than previously thought, in my case anyway. So that's something to keep an eye on. Thirdly, article in Zero Hedge inbox, or in the box. Um, I know that the unemployment rate went down by there was 82,000 jobs lost in December, but the Hedge article was very interesting. It shows the workforce in the United States at its lowest in 5 years, and probably one of the lowest in history, keeping these records. 64.6% of Americans are working, are actually producing or doing something. The interesting thing is the average worker of these 64.6 people employed are working around 33.2 hours, something like that. So they're working at severely uh, part-time situation. So these are people that are discouraged workers, workers that are part-time but want to work full-time, or full-time workers who've had their hours cut, which is very serious because the article will point out that at 64.6% on the ground doesn't give you 10% unemployment, it gives you 12% unemployment. So this is something to think about. This is the reason why I look around and find places like Zero Hedge or the Market Ticker or MediaMonarchy.com. These guys find information. Sometimes they find information in government, you know, government statistics that are just sitting there that just the media just fails to point out because they don't want to point it out. I'm sure that they're positively spinning the 82,000 um, unemployment. But here's an interesting thing. Getting back to that, if the Labor Department couldn't squeeze out a positive number for Wall Street, even though Wall Street was dancing a jig saying, we're going to get a positive number, and it didn't come up, and everybody was, oh my goodness, what happened? That tells me that the number is much worse. Because if the birth-death model only got you, last month we got 11,000, where the heck did that number come from? But 82,000 when they were expecting a positive number tells me that the number is much worse. Also, one other thing, people on long-term unemployment are still on long-term unemployment, and they've hit record highs. And we're not talking thousands here; we're talking millions. And they continue to, for political salvation, the government keeps extending unemployment benefits. They did it during the Thanksgiving holiday, quietly slipping it under in some bill. These are the things that are going on. Now, assuming that these things are unrelated, they're not. The solar minimums that are going on right now have had cool summers and very cold winters. That has lowered the yields worldwide for food. Now, we may have shortages, but even in a worst case, we may have jump in prices, not just because of inflation, but just because of lack of supply. So this is something to consider, because because if you don't have, even in the farm payrolls, you don't have people able to package or sell products like wheat, what have you, whatever. You don't have people working, and then you have people who can't afford the food to feed their families because the prices are too high, and it's a spiral. So some of it's natural, some of it's man-made, and a lot of it is politically manipulated. So just keep an eye on these things. See how things change. All right, guys, that's all I got. Peace.